Your zip code is a better predictor of your health than your genetic code. That's not metaphor. That's not my beautiful metaphor. That's just what the science says. And if you're black or brown in America, that truth hits different. Let me explain why. Hey, beautiful people, welcome or welcome back to Well with Mika, where we talk real wellness for your real life. I'm Mika, your cultural wellness ally, and today we're going to start this conversation because I don't think that it gets nearly enough attention. We spend so much time talking about what we put in our bodies, what we eat, what we avoid, what's worth the money. But today I really want to talk about where our bodies live, what they're living inside of, right? Because our health isn't just shaped by our choices alone. It's shaped by place, by location, where your house is, what runs past it, what's in the air, the water, the soil your kids are playing in. So today's episode, we're going to call it the zip code legacy. And it's about why where you live often has more influence on your health than your DNA. So there's a well-known saying in public health: your zip code is a better predictor of your health than your genetic code. And for many black and brown families, that's not some abstract idea. It is lived reality. Because of redlining, zoning decisions, highway placement, many of our communities were built right next to traffic corridors, factories, and industrial sites. These are often called fenceline communities, okay? Now, the translation, that just means we're getting exposed to way more pollution than we signed up for, consistently, daily. That's why you'll see higher cases of asthma block by block. That's why high blood pressure runs through families, even when people feel like they're doing what they're supposed to do. Research shows people of color are exposed to significantly higher levels of nitrogen dioxide from traffic and industry, sometimes 40% more than their white counterparts, than white communities in the same metro areas. And that pollution, it doesn't just stay outside. It follows us in through windows, on our clothes, and into our homes, right? So this isn't about bad genes, it's about unequal exposure. Now, let's bring this home because there is definitely a practical perspective to this. For children, think about it. Their lungs are still developing, right? Fine particulate matter, what scientists will write as PM 2.5, small enough. Those are particles small enough to get deep into their airways. That's one reason black children are far more likely to die from asthma complications. So this isn't just a seasonal allergy situation. This is environmental stress showing up early. Let's think about our men. Long-term pollution exposure keeps the body in a state of chronic inflammation. Over time, that strain is going to show up as heart disease and stroke, conditions that already hit our community hard. So, improving that air quality at home is not just about comfort, it's really cardiovascular protection. Then think about women, especially women over 35. This is the season where our hormones are starting to shift, whether we ask for it or not. We ain't signed up for it. That's what nature has dealt us, right? Many pollutants, they act as endocrine disruptors, meaning that they interfere with the estrogen, thyroid function, and cortisol. That brain fog, fatigue, even the heaviest cycles, those are not always just about aging. They can also be contributed to pollution. It's often what your body is constantly filtering, right? Now, unfortunately, we can't all just pick up and move tomorrow. That's not the point. The point is to control what we can where we are. Because sometimes we think of environmental issues as polar bears, but we're living in it, right? The environment around us, we are exposed to pollution. We're exposed to the impacts of not taking care of the environment. So we have to talk about what we can do where we are, right? What's actually in our power. No panic. It's not about panic or perfect living. We just have to think about the practical things we can do on a regular basis. So let's talk about window timing, right? Because that does matter. If you live near traffic, think about opening your windows during off peak hours, late morning or early afternoon, and then keep them closed during rush hour when pollution levels spike. Fresh air helps, but timing, that really matters. Then there's the shoe rule. Because yes, It's a thing, right? Shoes off at the door. I know back in the day, people used to look at me like I was crazy because I'm like, now we take our shoes off at the door, right? Because think about it, soil, especially like near roadways, they often contain lead and chemical residue. Even think about people that live in manicured communities, thought there are pesticides and things being sprayed left and right. And then you're going to come in, and let's not talk about the dogs and the poop. You're going to come in and track that stuff into your house. Don't bring that in. Tracking that through the house spreads exposure right where your kids are crawling and playing. Think about it. Your mother, your grandmother, they weren't being strict, they were just being smart, all right? And then let's get to air and water basics. A small air purifier in your sleeping areas and maybe just a basic water filter can significantly reduce your daily exposure. It doesn't have to be fancy or expensive, it just has to be consistent, right? Now, before we go further, I just feel the need to clear up something that I see everywhere in wellness spaces, well, in a lot of places. And I fell victim to the idea as well back in the day, and it's about houseplants. Now, I listened to this TED Talk, beautiful TED Talk. I was fully on board, convinced, right? Houseplants are going to solve your indoor air quality issue. Now, while houseplants are lovely, they're great. They make your space feel calm, they make it feel alive, they're great for your mental health. Aesthetically, they are beautiful, but they are not a solution for indoor air quality. While plants, they can absorb tiny amounts of certain compounds in controlled lab settings. In real homes, their impact on overall air quality is, I mean, super minimal, right? You'd need you need like a forest of plants than most of us could realistically fit to make a real difference. So I know a lot of the NASA study, that's usually cited, but it was a controlled environment, small space. We can't really achieve that in our homes. So keep the plants if they make you feel happy, they're calming, they're good. They are definitely great for mental health. But don't let Instagram convince you that you're doing the most in terms of ventilation and filtration with your plants. Beauty and function are not always the same thing, okay? Now, I know we just talked about what you can do inside your home, right? But let's just zoom out for a second, because your health in your home, they don't exist in a vacuum. Pollution is not just from the highway next door, it comes from how we treat the land everywhere. When forests get cleared and green spaces they disappear, pollution that doesn't vanish. What it does is it just circulates, and it often lands hardest in communities like ours. So trees and native plants, they act as natural air filters. Forests help stabilize climate, reduce pollution, and protect water systems. When we lose those, we all lose. But fence line communities lose first and lose most, okay? That's why supporting organizations focused on things like reforestation, sustainable development, and environmental awareness, they are not separate from wellness. It is wellness. Support your politicians and representatives that support those types of initiatives. This is not a partisan issue, it is just a human issue, okay? So whether that's donating, volunteering, or even just staying informed and voting, investing in the planet is truly a long-term investment in our collective health, especially for the generations coming after us, all right? So here's what I want you to hear clearly. It's not really about being extreme, it's about being intentional. Every step you take to protect your home environment, every choice you make to support cleaner air and healthier land, every time you question what's normal instead of just accepting it, you're interrupting a legacy that was shaped without our well being in mind. So you're not just managing a household, you are truly setting a standard. And that standard has ripple effects, okay? Now, next week, next conversation we're going to talk about some forever chemicals, okay, where they hide, how they affect our hormones, and why women in particular often feel their impact first. All right, so please let me know what you're going to do to support your environment so that you can be supporting our collective health, all right? Until then, leave it in the comments, all right? As always, happy healthing. Peace.